And I think it's time now to make our... I guess it's a bonus character, right? Or at least it's sort of a bonus workshop content this week. So I reckon we'll get to it. Let's reset, follow the guide. Let's roll 2 percentile, or a percentile, and find out if we have a female, male, or multi-class. At 46, we just crossed over into male territory. And the race we're going for is a Ghostwise Halfling. And we'll get into what that means over in the SCAG supplement here. His alignment is going to be 70, 57. So that's going to be neutral, and 57 is going to make us, he's true neutral. The level at which we'll make him is going to be, we rolled a 78, that is going to be level 16. And of the feats that would be available instead of the ability score improvement, we rolled a 55. It's all going to be stat bumps. Plus 2 to 1, plus 1 to 2. At level 4, 8, 12, and 16, unless he's a fighter. Alright, now, for the background, there are 12 backgrounds in the Sword Coast Adventures Guide, or SCAG. So, they are going to draw on aspects of those in the player's handbook, though I'm going to roll a d12 and find out in our SCAG book which we're going to have him be. We rolled number 4. Was that Courtier again? Interesting. Let me double check. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's a second Courtier. Maybe these two were working together. That's fine, though. This is how you have interesting stories, even if there's a redundancy, because they can still specialize in different things, or it'll really bond their characters together. All right, so we are going to get Insight and Persuasion. Two languages of our choice. So Common, Halfling, and these other two. Oh, one moment here. All right, I'm back. Everything's cool. Not an emergency. I don't want to end up as one of those YouTube compilations where, you know, like something like you see like someone breaks into a streamer's house while they're live, or I don't know, like a fire starts in their kitchen and the house explodes or anything like that. All right, so Insight and Persuasion, two of our choice. A set of fine clothes. And a belt pouch with 5 gold in it. A little skimpy, but that's because your court functionary is probably going to get you a lot of money and influence otherwise. Your knowledge of how bureaucracies function lets you gain access to the records and inner workings of any noble court or government you encounter. You know who the movers and shakers are, whom to go to for the favors you seek, and what the current intrigues of interest in the group are. And for the personalities, it recommends that we use the guild. we use the Guild Artisan. So his personality is going to be 4 and 1, and his ideal bond and flaw will be 2, 4, and 2. Going back to... Here we go. Alright, going back to our character generator, now let's determine which class he is going to be with a D12. We rolled Druid. Wow, we want to repeat here. Well, there's not a special Druid, and I want our crew to stand out by being kind of the oddballs, maybe the rarer people in the world in their own way. So I'm going to re-roll Druid because there's not a SCAG-style Druid. Apparently it really wants us to be a Druid. Let's try this a third time. 7, a Paladin. Let's check and see. Oath of the Crown. Okay. So there is a special oath for Paladins. And so this character here is going to be a Paladin. Oath of the Crown. And we'll get into what the specialties of that are in just a little bit here. As a Paladin, we are going to get a fighting style. Let's roll a D4. We rolled 1, and that is going to be defense. So for wearing armor, we get 1 more armor from it. And now the stats for being a halfling. Right about here. We start at 2'7", and we get 2d4 inches. We get 4 inches, so we are 2 feet 11 inches tall. We're going to take that same number, 4, multiply it by 1, and add it to 35 pounds. And so we are 39 pounds of fury. Or service to the crown, I suppose. And our age, we're going to roll a percentile. 80. Almost old. We are a middle-aged paladin. And for halflings, that is going to cross-reference into... We are between 111 and 155. So we're going to roll a 45-sided die. All right, we are 143 years old. All right, that completes the random number generation for the character. We'll put that away. Let's go into the background. And, well, we already listed our feats. Or not our feats, our equipment and such. Let me just double check. Yeah, those two languages of our choice. All right, so we already did that. So now let's explore his personality as a courtier. That's in Chapter 4 of the Player's Handbook. And we go until we see this magnificent other halfling right here. I love this dude. And personality traits, number 4 and 1. And then we're going to flavor it. The SCAG asks us to flavor it as per the court in which we served. 4 is, I'm full of... All right, then. Aphorisms. Boy, our sailors can tell you tales, that's for certain. Witty aphorisms. And have a proverb for every occasion. And number 1, I believe that anything worth doing is worth doing right. I can't help it. I'm a perfectionist. Very methodical. His ideal is number 2, generosity. My talents were given to me so that I could use them to benefit the world. All right, so before, our Duragar Courtier was more of the behind the scenes, spreading rumors, garnering rumors, you know, maybe sowing a couple seeds of chaos here and there among the various courts. And this person seemed, well, he has a neutral demeanor, so at least he can kind of keep a straight face. Maybe he is much more of a functionary than a disruptor in these social circles. His bond is number 4. I pursue wealth to secure someone's love. Oh my. Maybe that's why he's sailing. And his flaw is number 2. I'm quick to assume that someone is trying to cheat me. That is something that our 2 courtiers here have in common. In fact, these 2, or he might even be trying to chase after her. Maybe that's why he joined up, because she did. And she did because she might have found the captain worthy. So we have a kind of an odd, and the captain's a gnome. Oh my. And so we have a little bit of a rivalry, a bit of a love triangle of sorts going on. Who knows? Now remember, we're not generating these characters as officers. These are going to be our red shirts. These are going to be a sailor who does something in particular. Or on an away mission has a particular, you know, security, medical team, that kind of a thing. Okay, that's her, his background. Now, let's pop over to halflings. I love that picture as well. Alright, all halflings increase their dex by 2. Our speed is 25 feet. Or, not 35, 25. 12, 12, 0. We are lucky. Yay, us. We can reroll 1s. We're also brave. We have advantages versus being frightened. As a paladin, that's not going to matter, but still it's cool. We will also get halfling nimbleness. We can move through the spaces of creatures larger than us. We get common and halfling to speak. Now it's time for the subrace. Let's pop back over to the Sword Coast Adventurers Guide and take a look at Ghostwise Halflings. Ghostwise Halflings trace their ancestry back to a war among halfling tribes that sent their ancestors into flight from Lurien. Ghostwise Halflings are the rarest of the Heen, found only in the Chondal Wood and a few other isolated forests, clustered in tight-knit clans. Many Ghostwise clans select a natural landmark at the center of their territory, and members carry a piece of that landmark with them at all times. Clan warriors, known as Night Gliders, bond with and ride giant owls as mounts. Isn't that cool? A paladin riding on a mount, on an owl mount. Wouldn't that be neat? Because these folk are clannish and mistrustful of outsiders, Ghostwise halfling adventurers are rare. Ask your DM if you can play a member of this sub-race, which has the halfling traits in the player's handbook plus the sub-race traits below. Wisdom increases by 1. And silent speech. You can speak telepathically to any creature within 30 feet of you. The creature understands you only if the 2 of you share a language. You can speak telepathically in this way to one creature at a time. Silent speech. Telepathy 30 feet. That would have made an excellent monk, wouldn't it? Dex and wisdom. 2 very good scores, which is, I guess, one of the prompts that, it's like, hey, check with your DM as well. but I'm the DM here, and I say it's cool. We can be Ghostwise Halflings if we want. Alrighty. So that is what we get by virtue of being a halfling. Now it's time to look at the classes. We're going to go to Paladins and start in the player's handbook and go over what we get, like what all Paladins are going to receive. Even an Oathbreaker is going to get these. We're generating this character at 16th level. Here we go. So our proficiency is a +5. And we're going to have some spell slots for 332. Very good. We are a D10 hit die class, and as we have 16 levels under our belts, we have 16 D10 that we can use while we rest to heal up, without spells or anything. All armor and shields. Weapons, simple and martial. No tool proficiencies, saving throws, wisdom, and charisma. Skills, choose 2 from athletics, insight, intimidation, medicine, persuasion, and religion. Well, we already have persuasion and insight. Let's see, I'm full of witty aphorisms. I have a proverb for everything. We could take that in a religious sense if we wish. I believe anything is worth doing right. I believe in generosity, so he does seem to have this this particular sense about him. I pursue wealth to secure someone's love, and I'm quick to assume that someone is trying to cheat me. Anything worth doing, so I think religion is going to be solid for him. Anything worth doing is worth doing right. He's not a knight, per se, though he does seem to be more of the gallant courtier. He probably can also use his strength to his advantage in the court. So we're going to let's give him athletics. Again, if you have other recommendations, pop them right in there. I'm reading chat. A martial weapon and a shield, or 2 martial weapons. Well, we are going defensive, so he does seem to have this noble sense. So we can go something like sword and board, or spear and shield, something like that. That said, if we're gonna give him a shield, we gotta mark that he's gonna get this +2, which we have to add ourselves. But this is reminding us that we selected he is wearing a shield. What would a person like this fight with? Anything worth doing is doing right. I'm a perfectionist. My talents were given to me so that I could use them to benefit the world. Pursue wealth to secure myself. I'm quick to assume. What would be something interesting? He wanted to go into a life of sailing, perhaps to pursue this person's love. What about like a trident in a shield? Trident can be used one-handed. It can be used two-handed as well. Either that or a whip in a shield. A whip in a shield could be interesting. I don't know, do you have a preference? Do you want him to be a trident and shield fighter? A whip and shield fighter? What kind of a weapon would you like to see this character wield? Five javelins, that'll work. Definitely a priest pack. And a holy symbol with chainmail, which chainmail is a 16 plus a shield is 18 plus the defensive fighting style. He's going to be at a level 19, or he's going to have a 19 armor class, which is pretty good. Pretty good. Divine Sense is going to be what he gets at first level. He's a radar detector for good and evil and other such forces. Paladins are very good at pointing that stuff out. We're going to get Lay on Hands. And we're going to put that here, you know, where we put key points for that monk. We're going to put Lay on Hands here. And you get 5 per level. We're level 16, so that's 80 points that we can use to restore in other people. Or spend 5 points at a time to remove a disease. Or poison. We already have our fighting style, which is defense. Spellcasting we'll get to. I want to put our stats in before we discuss that. We are going to have Divine Smite, but by 11th level it'll actually be improved. So I'm going to put that right now. Improved Divine Smite. We can blow a spell slot for extra damage. We will also get Divine Health. So we're immune to disease. Though we still have to take our vitamins, because scurvy, I mean, I imagine, right? Is disease more of a biological? I don't know. What do you all say? Have you ruled on that before as a DM? Or have you asked as a player? Would a condition like a vitamin deficiency, like scurvy, where your bones start kind of bowing and weakening because you're not getting enough vitamin C, you know, bleeding gums and all that, would that count as a disease that a paladin would be immune to? Or is that more of a dietary and a bodily function than an invading germ? And if that's the case, do you also count parasites as a disease? You know, could he get intestinal worms like a tapeworm? Throwing that out there for you. Something to think about. All right, our Sacred Oath, we're going to discover that once we get all of our basic paladin abilities written down. We are going to get an extra attack and an aura of protection. And an aura of courage. Hey, so our fearlessness can be channeled through us to make others less fearful. So, 10th level, you and friendly creatures within 10 feet of you can't be frightened. As well. Aura protection is the saving throw bump. That's really good. Paladins do so much in 5th edition. And we also get Cleansing Touch. You can use your action to end one spell on yourself or on one willing creature that you touch. Use this feature a number of times equal to your charisma modifier. There we go. Now we're getting into our Sacred Oaths. Ours is going to be Oath of the Crown as found in the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide. The Oath of the Crown is sworn to the ideals of civilization, be it the spirit of a nation, fealty to a sovereign, or service to a deity of law and rulership. The paladins who swear this oath dedicate themselves to serving society and, in particular, the just laws that hold society together. These paladins are the watchful guardians on the wall, standing against the chaotic tides of barbarism that threaten to tear down all that civilization has built, and are commonly known as guardians, exemplars, or sentinels. Often, paladins who swear this oath are members of an order of knighthood in service to a nation or a sovereign and undergo their oath as part of their admission to the order's ranks. Their tenets are about law. The law is paramount. It is the mortar that holds the stones of civilization together, and it must be respected. Loyalty, your word is your bond. Without loyalty, oaths and laws are meaningless. Courage. You must be willing to do what needs to be done for the sake of order, even in the face of overwhelming odds. If you don't act, who will? Responsibility. You must deal with the consequences of your actions, and you are responsible for fulfilling your duties and obligations. That's true. There is not a, you uphold law and justice, I defend law and justice, I do what must be done. Because there's not an alignment restriction, you can be chaotic evil and take this. And so what would that mean, right? You would be, you might be like a super enforcer. You are fine. You're fine breaking fingers. You know, maybe you're a little bit of a Judge Dredd style. Of course, being chaotic, it might mean that you uphold the law, but you might not go by the books. But justice will still be served. That would be that's an interesting thought experiment, Pneumonica. Okay. We do get some spells. Oath. We had spell slots 4, 3, 3, and 2. Casting is off of Charisma. And we are a Paladin. Spells prepared equal your level plus, or half your Paladin level plus your Charisma modifier, and we don't have that yet. But we do get these oaths that will always be, you may not have the slots to cast them, but they'll always be prepared. And then you can prepare additional spells on top of them. We'll get Command and Compelled Duel. Warding Bond. Zone of Truth. Aura of Vitality. And Spirit Guardians. Banishment, and Guardian of Faith. And Paladins do not get cantrips normally, so we don't need to worry about that. So there's our Oath spells. We will get Channel Divinity from our archetype. We'll have two options. We have a Champion Challenge. You issue a challenge that compels other creatures to do battle with you. Each creature of your choice that you can see within 30 feet of you must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, a creature can't willingly move more than 30 feet away from you. This effect ends on the creature if you are incapacitated or die, or if the creature is moved more than 30 feet away from you. And secondly, Turn the Tide. As a bonus action, you can bolster injured creatures with your Channel Divinity. Each creature of your choice that can hear you within 30 feet of you regains hit points equal to 1d6 plus your Charisma modifier if it has no more than half of its hit points. You know, it's a good pick-me-up. We will also receive, through this oath, Divine Allegiance. Starting at 7th level, when a creature within 5 feet of you takes damage, you can use your reaction to magically substitute your own health for that of the target creature, causing that creature not to take the damage. Instead, you take the damage. This damage to you can't be reduced or prevented in any way. Not exactly a benign transposition, but it is with your hit points, I guess. Unyielding Spirit. At level 15. Starting at 15th level, you have advantage on saving throws to avoid becoming paralyzed or stunned. Ooh. That's really good. It is. And that makes us even a little bit more like our Duragar, who gets that naturally. See, he's just trying to show off, like, oh, well, I guess I can't be paralyzed too. So, do we have a thing? Do we have a thing? All right, now that we have the chassis of our character, let's drop the engine in with our standard array: 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 8. Full of witty aphorisms, have a proverb. I believe anything is worth doing right. So strength and charisma are important to paladins. Now, I say this not because you always have to have the top two. You can have a paladin with a low charisma. You just take some buff spells or spells that don't have a lot of modifiers based off of your charisma. You won't get as many, but okay. You know, instead, put it into wisdom if you want. Or do you want to play more of a lower strength paladin? Or do you not want to play a strength paladin because you want to go dex? Which is still, it could be it can be defensive. I mean, with the heavy armor, your dexterity doesn't really matter. But you could use dex-based weapons. It won't be the big two-handed, you know, you're getting multiple dice depending on your build, and you can manipulate those dice, and especially with lucky, I mean, you're going to be a savage little kneecapper. But, you know, think about how you want to build, and don't be afraid to not always max out what is, you know, what is important, or what is considered important for that character. Just like, you know, we have religion as intelligence, and if we make intelligence his dump stat, that's fine. He's just really knowledgeable about religion, but the other stuff he might not be as conversational about. Any old who, let's put a 15 in strength. Oath of the Crown. He serves, he was a courtier. Charisma is definitely going to be a high one for him. Let's give him a 13 wisdom. $12, 10 intelligence, 8 dex. So at least he does, you know, he does some morning stretches. All right, so wisdom's going to go to a 14. Dexterity's going to go to a 10. And there we go. We'll give him a trident. I don't think I remember seeing a recommendation over there. There we go. So we'll have 8 points we can dump into his stats. You know, 2 and 1, or 1 and 2, and we do that 4 times. Strength, I think we can max out and put that to 20. And so we have 3 points left. We could probably put 2 in charisma. Go to a 16. And then we have a floating 1. Strength is usually your dump for that, but we're using that. So in this case, I don't know, we could probably make him a little more intelligent. I don't know, your DM might use your intelligence score for something. You could make that argument if you have a floating number in something other than strength, which does have a mechanical benefit to increasing even by 1. But hey, sometimes it just happens. You have a spare. Plus at level 19, he'll get a feat, and maybe that feat can, if we wanted to put that 1 elsewhere, some feats offer a +1 to a stat, and there you go. There you go, huh? Alright, so that's a 5 strength, 0 dex, 1 con, 0 int, 2 wisdom, 3 charisma. Initiative is going to be +0, because that is a dex check. We have 0 dark vision, being a halfling. Strength 5 except athletics, which is going to be 10. Nice. 0's on dex, 1 on con. 0's all the way down the line for int except religion, which will be 5. We have a 7 on saving throw and insight, and a 2 for the other wisdom skills. And charisma is going to be an 8 for the proficiencies and 3 otherwise. Our passive perception is going to be a 12, 10 plus your perception modifier. And there we go. He has earned a name, if you have one. I'm open for suggestions on what you'd like to call him, as well as our Duragar we made in the prior segment. Hit points. We get 10 at first level. You get your maximum of your hit die. Then for the other 15 levels, it's half +1, so that'll be 6. Then for all 16 levels, you get your Constitution modifier in hit points. And so there's our formula. This is just going to go to 16. Plus 10 is going to be 26. And this is going to be 90. 90 plus 26 is 116. 116 hit points at level 16. If we're attacking with a melee weapon, it's going to be a plus 10 to hit, as our strength modifier is 5, and our proficiency, and we're proficient, is 5. You add those together. Javelins, while they are ranged weapons, are thrown weapons, which mean that you can use strength. We are small as a halfling. Oh, for our spell casting, it is going to be off of charisma. So 3, I hope we're proficient as well. It's going to be a plus 8 if we're making an attack with a spell, and a 16 to resist, because you just, that's the formula. Add 8 to your attack modifier, and there you go. There you go. That was plus 8. This is a 16. And we have lay on hands, 80, and we've used 0. Spells prepared. Half of our paladin level is 8, plus our charisma modifier is 11. So on top of the oath spells, we can distribute 11 more spells off of our spell list as a paladin. And every time we take a long rest, we can reset the spells and the spell slots however we'd like. We can redistribute them. Just not our oath spells is all. So I don't really want to fill those in, because that will just change day to day depending on the circumstances. And of course, for an animal companion, I think it'd be cool if he's riding that owl. I do. So now, see, he presents himself very neutrally. You know, I'm sure he makes judgments. He's just very controlling about his expression. And here we go, my friends. We have 2 now of our 4 crew members, not our officers, but our crew members, that will be going out on missions in addition to the officers. And tomorrow, we'll be making 2 more characters. And if we have some time, we'll even talk about then the concept of officers and crew, and how to handle that in a campaign situation for the proposition I'm going to be making to you all regarding running a campaign like this. Because just between you, me, and the microphone, I would like to run a campaign like this on our channel and have it be weekly episodic adventures where the crew rotates out week to week, and we'll do different quests over the course of time in order to build up the ship and the reputation and so forth. We did it! Huzzah!